So to everyone who was clutching their pearls and trying to tone police Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because she dared to describe these migrant detention facilities as concentration camps, I've got a story for you that you should definitely be more outraged at. Because the language that I'm going to discuss that is being used should absolutely shake you to your core, because there was recently an expose of a Facebook group that has more than 9,000 members, all of which from Customs and Border Protection, who are saying very horrible things about lawmakers and the migrants at these facilities. As A.C. Thompson of ProPublica reports, members of a secret Facebook group for current and former Border Patrol agents joked about the deaths of migrants, discussed throwing burritos at Latino members of Congress visiting a detention facility in Texas on Monday, and posted a vulgar illustration depicting Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez engaged in oral sex with a detained migrant, according to screenshots of their postings. In one exchange, group members responded with indifference and wisecracks to the post of a news story about a 16-year-old Guatemalan migrant who died in May while in custody at a Border Patrol station in Weslaco, Texas. One member posted a GIF of Elmo with the quote, "Oh well." Another responded with an image and the words, "If he dies, he dies." Created in August 2016, the Facebook group is called I'm 1015 and boasts roughly 9,500 members from across the country. 1015 is Border Patrol code for aliens in custody. The group described itself in an online introduction as a forum for funny and serious discussion about work with the patrol. Remember, you are never alone in this family, the introduction said. Now again, 9,500 CPB agents here. Now let's go over some of these posts because we have a couple of screenshots. I can't show you all of them because they are incredibly not safe for work, and it's going to get this video not just demonetized but deleted if I show you them. But let's go over a couple here. You see this post here and comments advocating for someone to throw a burrito at Latina lawmakers, which obviously is racist. Now, I'm sure that the same people who are advocating that we throw burritos at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez scream at the top of their lungs whenever a fascist is milkshaked. But, if we are assaulting someone who we don't like, that's perfectly acceptable. Now, there's posts of them sharing photos of a man with his daughter that we all saw that was released recently who died. Now, we were all horrified and appalled by this photo, but the poster here was joking about how these were floaters. In other words, these were pieces of shit. That's the way that he reacted to the photo that made us all appalled. He called them pieces of shit, essentially. What a disgusting group of morally reprehensible human beings. Every single person who was tone policing and clutching their pearls at AOC when she used the word concentration camps, I need you to clutch your pearls now at this. I need you to be outraged at this because this is demonstrably worse language to be used. And it's particularly disgusting because it's being used by people who oversee these migrants at these detention facilities. They're joking and laughing about migrants dying when these same people oversee these facilities. Where's the outrage? Where's the outrage? Are we going to get, an entire week worth of news off of the language used here? I don't know. So it's clear that they didn't like the idea that AOC was going to go to these migrant detention centers because obviously she has a very large platform. She could draw attention to these human rights abuses here. And she went anyway, even if they clearly didn't want her to go. If they were joking about throwing burritos at her, she still went. So I'm going to talk about what she found here, but she did respond to this Facebook group, and what she said was absolutely poignant. She tweeted out, "This isn't about a few bad eggs. This is a violent culture." She added, 9,500 CPB officers sharing memes about dead migrants and discussing violence and sexual misconduct towards members of Congress. How on earth can CPB's culture be trusted to care for refugees humanely? P.S. I have no plans to change my itinerary and will visit the CPB station today. There are 20,000 total Customs and Border Patrol agents in the United States. 9,500, almost half that number, are in a racist and sexually violent violent secret CPB Facebook group. They're threatening violence on members of Congress. How do you think they're treating caged children plus families? Exactly it. So every single person who tone policed AOC, who denounced milkshaking fascists, we have an instance where this group is threatening to burrito members of Congress. Are you going to call this out, or are you just going to be quiet here? Are you going to tone police these people here, or are you just going to tone police people because of the language that they use to describe the atrocity that's going on? I think we all know, and what I'm getting at is that the right, they're a bunch of hypocrites. So I'm going to read you a series of tweets from AOC of her describing the situation and how bad it is in these detention centers. Just left the first CPB facility. I see why CPB officers were being so physically and sexually threatening towards me. Officers were keeping women in cells with no water and had told them to drink out of the toilets. This was them on their good behavior in front of members of Congress. Now, I've seen the inside of these facilities. It's not just the kids, it's everyone. People drinking out of toilets, officers laughing in front of members of Congress. I brought it up to their superiors. They said officers are under stress and act out sometimes. No accountability. After I forced myself into a cell with women and began speaking to them, one of them described their treatment at the hands of officers as psychological warfare, waking them at odd hours for no reason, calling them whores, etc. Tell me what about this is due to a lack of funding. Now, I'm on my way to Clint, where the Trump administration was denying children toothpaste and soap. This has been horrifying so far. It is hard to understate the enormity of the problem. We're talking systemic cruelty with a dehumanizing culture that treats them like animals. What's haunting is that the women I met today told me in no uncertain terms that they would experience retribution for telling us what they shared. They all began sobbing out of fear of being punished, out of sickness, out of desperation, lack of sleep, trauma, despair. CPB made us check our phones, but one woman slipped me this packet to take with me. It says shampoo, but she told me that this is all they give women to wash their entire body, nothing else. Some women's hair was falling out. Others had gone 15 days without taking a shower. So you know what's happening here. We've had numerous people go to these migrant detention facilities and explain how bad the situation is. And AOC is telling us they're literally drinking toilet water. But please, whatever you do, don't call them concentration camps. For the love of God, don't call them that, because that's too far. That's what's offensive. Don't call them concentration camps. If you want to know how the right responded to AOC essentially breaking this news about CPB officers telling them to drink toilet water, well, do you think that the right had any human compassion whatsoever and they were outraged? Well, no, they weren't outraged at the treatment of the migrants in these detention facilities. Unsurprisingly, they were outraged at the language AOC used, because Washington Examiner journalist Anna Giacchirelli, she gave us the scoop on a real scandal. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez screamed at federal law enforcement agents in a threatening manner during a visit to a U.S. Border Patrol facility in El Paso, Texas, Monday afternoon, and refused to tour the facility, according to two people who witnessed it. So that's the real scandal to right-wingers. So if you see something that is deeply disturbing, where a humanitarian crisis is going on, if you don't describe that the right way, then you're the bad guy. You're what we should focus on, not the humanitarian crisis itself. After we get this story here about the Facebook group and how these migrants are treated and how women are so fearful of even telling what's going on to a member of Congress because of retribution, you know, you would think that everyone in the country would stop and realize, what are we doing? This is horrible. We are treating these people like animals, worse than animals. You would think that that would be the response, but I'm sure everyone on the right will just ignore this entirely. They can see how barbaric the government is, and they get more outraged at the way that people describe said barbarity than the outrageous thing going on itself. That's the right. These are the people who we have to deal with, who we're supposed to come together with and work with. Unbelievable.